Now to an Eyewitness News investigation. A convicted killer who was sentenced to death in 1981 for the shotgun murder of an LA County Sheriff's deputy has found an unexpected ally in his decades-long quest to overturn his murder conviction.
LA County DA George Gascon tells Eyewitness News he will do everything in his power to keep convicted killer Jesse Gonzalez in prison for the rest of his life, but that his office had an ethical duty to turn over evidence that casts doubt on a jailhouse confession back in 1979. Critics of Gascon, including the daughters of murdered Deputy Jack Williams, fear the conviction will be overturned and Gonzalez could be set free. Josh Haskell has the story.
May 29, 1979. LA County Sheriff deputies and police execute a search warrant on this house in La Puente, a drug raid. Deputies announce police search warrant.
They demanded entry. Bobby Esquivel kicked the door. His momentum carried him in, and he looked up and he saw Jesse Gonzalez with a shotgun pointing, and he hollered at that time, "Gun."
Deputy Jack Williams was the second man through the door.
Jesse Gonzalez fired his shotgun and he killed Jack Williams.
Retired Sheriff's homicide detective Ray Verdugo caught the case. You can see him here in crime scene photos taken that night 44 years ago.
I have no doubt in my mind that he planned to kill a cop. He learned that the cops were going to be coming to raid his house. He was watering the lawn. He says, suddenly he saw the cop cars coming around the corner and ran inside. He says he was going to take one out.
You could say it's an execution, you could say it's an assassination, you could say it's an ambush, but he was protecting his narcotics and his trade. He was also a gang member and hated law enforcement.
Jesse Gonzalez was sentenced to death in 1981. Gonzalez has never denied killing Deputy Williams, but claims he believed the plainclothes officers raiding the house were members of a rival gang coming to kill him. The death penalty relied on finding that Gonzalez intended to kill a police officer, and the LADA's office at the time pointed to what Gonzalez told Detective Verdugo hours later, that, quote, suddenly he saw the cops coming. Gonzalez quickly changed his story and said no, he didn't actually say that. Months later, a jailhouse informant, William Acker, contacted detectives to say Gonzalez had confessed to him that Gonzalez knew they were police and that he wanted to, quote, bag a cop.
This is not a case where the defense is claiming that, he's an innocent person, that he wasn't the right guy. Everyone acknowledges that he is, in fact, the one who shot and killed Jack Williams. The whole issue has been whether or not he knew that Jack Williams was a law enforcement officer.
Kathy Cady and former LA County District Attorney Steve Cooley are representing the victims, Deputy Williams' daughters.
They want justice for their dad. Every day they think, what would my life be like if he were here? What would my life be like if he wasn't murdered when I was 11, when I was 12? They were little.
Deputy Williams' daughters fear that Gonzalez could be set free if a judge finds that the DA's office back in the early 1980s failed to turn over evidence about that jailhouse informant. The jury knew Acker was in custody, that he was a convicted killer, and that Acker hoped he'd be transferred to an out-of-state prison in exchange for his testimony. But the defense says the DA's office hid additional evidence that painted the informant Acker out to be even less credible.
There were 6 different psychological reports indicating that he was a pathological liar, that he was manipulative, and that he would fake things in order to try to get whatever he wanted.
LA County District Attorney George Gascon says the original prosecutors had an ethical duty to turn over that information, and because they did not, his office believes Gonzalez never should have been sentenced to death. Gascon tells Eyewitness News that his office does not want Gonzalez to be set free.
Mr. Gonzalez is a murderer. Mr. Gonzalez murdered Deputy Williams. Mr. Gonzalez deserves to stay in prison the rest of his life. But there is a principle involved in ensuring that we, as the government, we as the police, as prosecutors, follow the rules. We're not seeking his release. We will fight to make sure that he stays in prison, but we will fight and we will play by the rules.
Gonzalez's defense attorney, Mark Overland, however, says Gonzalez deserves to be set free, that the jailhouse confession was fabricated, and that the informant Acker would have said anything to save his own skin.
He was somebody who was a psychopath, and he would do was capable of any kind of brutality in order to achieve what he wanted.
Defense attorney Overland says Gonzalez is now 76 years old, uses a wheelchair, and poses no danger to society.
Well, you're talking about an individual that has spent the best years of his life in prison, probably 40 years on death row. His life was taken from him.
But Eyewitness News has evidence that Jesse Gonzalez is a validated member of the Mexican Mafia. This handwritten note shows that Gonzalez was on a list of Mexican Mafia members getting money from a Mexican Mafia secretary. A Mexican Mafia expert testified in 2020 that money came from drug and extortion profits.
Yes, he's a Mexican Mafia with the moniker Bird from La Puente, and he's also on death row.
Gonzalez, a.k.a. Bird from La Puente, is also referred to in a jailhouse phone call between two La Puente gang members inside Men's Central Jail in February of this year. Listen as they discuss splitting profits from drugs being smuggled into the jail. Candy bars is a coded term for heroin.
Because you know how I shot the 3 candy bars, right? With one of them, we split that between all the elders that are here, right here in for the house. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. The extra one that we have, which I was going to say was look out for Pops and Bird. If you want to do something out of that for homeboy, you can give him half.
Not only is he a cop killer, he's a documented Mexican Mafia shot caller. This is not a good combination. Killer of a cop, Mexican Mafia shot caller, back in society.
Josh Haskell, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And again, DA Gascon says his office will defend the conviction and retry Gonzalez if necessary, but he admits no one can predict what the judge will do. The judge's ruling on this case is expected tomorrow, and we will be there.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC 7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC 7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.